He suffers more from imagination than from reality. Seneca. He suffers more from imagination than from reality. Seneca, you worry about the future because your mind is trying to live in a world that doesn't exist yet. It jumps ahead, inventing disasters, imagining losses, constructing scenarios where everything collapses and you are powerless to stop it. And the more you imagine, the smaller you feel. Anxiety is not fear of the future itself. It is fear of your own inability to control it. You try to predict every outcome, prepare for every possibility, prevent every threat, but the future is a moving target. The more you chase it, the more it outruns you. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology gave it a name. They lived through plagues, invasions, assassinations, political chaos. They didn't know tomorrow any more than you do. But they refused to live inside imaginary suffering. They refused to die from 1,000 possible futures when they had only one real present to face. Anxiety begins the moment your mind leaves the present and enters fiction. It starts when you replace what is with what might be, and your imagination becomes a cruel storyteller. That storyteller exaggerates, distorts, magnifies. One small problem becomes a collapse. One uncertainty becomes catastrophe. One worry becomes destiny. You fear losing your job, your health, your family, your money, your stability. You fear choosing wrong, failing publicly, disappointing people. You fear that the future will expose you as unprepared, not enough, not ready. But all these fears share one root. You believe you won't be able to handle what comes. That belief is a lie. You have handled everything life put behind you. You survived the heartbreak you thought would kill you. You recovered from the mistakes you swore you'd never overcome. You outlived the fears you had years ago. Fears that once felt just as real and heavy as the ones you carry now. Anxiety tricks you into forgetting your own strength. It shows you the threat, but hides the part where you endure. It shows you the fall, but hides the part where you rise. Stoicism teaches you to reclaim that missing half of the picture. Not, what if this happens to me? But what if I'm stronger than I think? Anxiety exaggerates the future because you underestimate yourself. That is the core of the problem. Not the future, you. You think of yourself as fragile. But fragility is not natural. It's learned. It grows from avoiding discomfort, avoiding uncertainty, avoiding responsibility. The less you face, the more everything scares you. Stoics trained for the future by strengthening the present, not with worry, with action. Anxiety is always worst in stillness. When you sit and think, the mind spirals. When you act, the spiral breaks. Even small actions pull you out of imaginary worlds and back into the real one. The mind fears a foggy future, but action clears the fog. Once you take a step, any step, you feel your power again. The present moment is always gentler than the future your anxiety creates, every single time. But you rarely let yourself experience the present long enough to discover that. You escape into your mind, into projection, into fear. You imagine pain in advance and then experience it twice, or 3 times, or 100. The Stoics said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." They weren't exaggerating. Think of your own life. How many things you worried about actually happened? And of the things that did happen, how many were as bad as you imagined? And of the things that were painful, how many did you eventually handle? Your anxiety has never once saved you. It has only stolen time, energy, sleep, and peace. So what do? First, accept the truth. Uncertainty is not the enemy. Your resistance to it is. You cannot eliminate uncertainty. You cannot force the world to behave according to your plans. You cannot negotiate with the future. But you can build the kind of mind that stays steady regardless of what happens. That is the Stoic path. You stop trying to control eternity and start mastering the next 10 minutes. That is where your power is. Not tomorrow, not next year. Now. Focus on the only things that are truly yours. Your decisions, your effort, your discipline, your values, your response. Everything else belongs to fate, and fate will do what it wants whether you worry or not. When anxiety rises, remind yourself, this is my imagination speaking, not reality. Then return to your body. Breathe, slow your thoughts, move physically, ground yourself in the moment. The mind cannot panic and act with purpose at the same time. Action is armor. Next, question your fears. Don't accept them as truths. Anxiety shows you the worst-case scenario, but never the best-case scenario, and never the most likely scenario. Why trust the most dramatic outcome? Why assume disaster when you could assume challenge instead? The Stoic doesn't tell himself nothing bad will happen. He tells himself, if something happens, I will handle it. That is real strength. That is real freedom. Finally, build your courage in the present. Do difficult things. Make small commitments and keep them. Strength grows from friction. Anxiety grows from avoidance. The more capable you become today, the less afraid you are of tomorrow. Because the future is not the problem. Your belief about your ability to face it is. So train that belief. Build proof. Show yourself what you can do. And slowly, the future stops looking like a threat and starts looking like a landscape you're ready to walk through. The Stoic doesn't try to predict the future. He prepares his character. He sharpens his mind. He focuses his energy. He meets tomorrow not with fear, but with readiness. Anxiety asks, what if something happens? Stoicism answers, then I will meet it with strength. And that is how you stop fearing the future, not by controlling it, but by becoming the kind of person who no longer needs to.